I never thought it would happen. But one reckless night changed everything. A single moment so forbidden, so electric. I couldn't look away, and I shouldn't have. What started as a simple choice spiraled into something I can't take back. It all started on one quiet evening. I had been looking forward to a quiet evening at home. My roommate was out of town, and I had nothing on my schedule except some light reading and maybe a bath. That was until my phone buzzed with a text from my sister. "Can you babysit Mia tonight? I have a last-minute meeting. Please?" Mia, my niece by a few years, had always been charming in the mischievous way that made babysitting more exhausting than relaxing. I sighed, typing a quick yes. "It's just one night," I reminded myself. "You can do this." When I arrived, Mia greeted me at the door with that sly, knowing smile that made her seem older than her 14 years. She had grown so fast I barely recognized the little girl I used to read bedtime stories to. Now she had that confident stance, arms crossed, and an expression that hinted she already knew she was in charge. "Hey Jenna," she said, her voice teasing. "You're finally here, ready to be the boring babysitter?" I forced a smile, stepping inside. "Someone's got jokes tonight, huh?" She shrugged but didn't move out of my way as I walked in, giving me a clear sense that tonight she would be running the show. The first hour was the usual, setting up dinner, reminding her about homework, and listening to her chatter nonstop about school, friends, and every little thing that mattered to a teenager. But there was something different tonight. Maybe it was the way she looked at me when she laughed, or the soft brush of her hand against mine when handing me a plate. My heart did that stupid, unpredictable flip that made me momentarily lose focus. I scolded myself internally. It's just her being friendly. "You're overthinking this." Dinner ended with her insisting we eat on the couch instead of at the table, citing a movie night vibe. I tried to resist, thinking I should set some rules, but she gave me that look, the one that made me cave. So, there we were, side by side on the couch, her little feet tucked under her, me trying not to notice how close our shoulders were. We picked a movie, something light and silly, but I found myself watching her more than the screen. She laughed at the jokes, tossing her hair back, eyes sparkling. Every now and then, her hand would brush mine, and I felt an electric jolt shoot up my arm. I quickly pulled my hand back, but then she'd lean just a little closer, deliberately or accidentally, I couldn't tell. "You're quiet," she said suddenly, tilting her head. "Not like you, Jenna. Usually you have these long lectures about manners and whatnot." I cleared my throat, hoping I didn't sound as flustered as I felt. "Maybe I'm just enjoying the movie." Her smile widened, teasing, knowing. Sure, just the movie." I laughed nervously, trying to regain some composure, but my mind was already off track, thinking about the subtle way she'd shifted closer, the warmth of her shoulder against mine, the softness in her eyes when she looked at me. I had to remind myself, she was still technically a kid. I shouldn't feel this way, and yet every instinct in me told me otherwise. After a while, she leaned back, stretching lazily across the couch. I tried to maintain a polite distance, but the warmth of her presence lingered, wrapping around me in a way that was both comforting and disarming. She nudged me playfully with her elbow. "Hey, do you always sit like a statue when watching movies?" I chuckled, rolling my eyes. "Maybe I'm just tired." She leaned her head against my shoulder suddenly, lightly, almost accidentally. My heart skipped a beat and I froze, staring at the popcorn in my lap like it held all the answers to life's mysteries. Her hair brushed my arm, and I could smell the faint scent of strawberry shampoo. My body responded in ways I hated and loved all at once. "Relax, Jenna," she murmured softly. "It's just me. Just her." Those words sent an unexpected warmth through me, and I caught myself wondering, what if this was more than just babysitting tonight? What if there was a spark neither of us could ignore? I immediately scolded myself internally. No, stop thinking like that. She's just a kid. Still, the playful intimacy of her leaning closer, the teasing in her voice, the way she brushed against me under the pretense of comfort, it was intoxicating. My pulse raced, my mind spun, and I realized I had underestimated just how mischievous she could be, and how much I could feel for her, even if I shouldn't. By the time the movie ended, she had claimed the blanket, half of the couch, and somehow a piece of my attention I didn't know I was ready to give. She looked up at me with those bright eyes, smiling as if she knew a secret I wasn't supposed to know. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to sound casual. "Well, Bedtime soon, right? She yawned, but instead of moving, she grinned mischievously. Maybe I have other plans for my babysitter. I felt my stomach drop and my pulse quicken. This night was supposed to be simple, a little babysitting, a little fun, and yet I had a feeling, a dangerous, exciting feeling, that this was only the beginning of something I never expected. I thought I had control over the evening. I was supposed to be the babysitter, the responsible adult, the one setting the boundaries. But Mia had other plans. After the movie ended, she didn't move to her room like she should have. Instead, she sprawled on the floor, stretching lazily, her eyes flicking toward me like she was daring me to challenge her. "Why don't you sit down here?" she said, patting the floor next to her. "It's comfier than the couch." I hesitated. The sensible part of me knew I should insist she go to bed, but something in her tone made me pause. She wasn't just asking, she was tempting. The subtle sway of her hips as she shifted, the mischievous glint in her eyes, all screamed that she was deliberately breaking the rules. I finally relented, sitting cross-legged next to her. The carpet was warm, and being this close made my chest tighten. Every brush of her arm, every casual lean against me sent little shocks through my body. I kept reminding myself, this is forbidden. She's supposed to be the kid, and yet I didn't pull away. Mia leaned her head against my shoulder, sighing softly. "You know, babysitting isn't so bad when the babysitter is actually interesting," she murmured. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady. "Interesting? What do you mean?" She tilted her head up, just enough for her lips to be inches from mine. Her eyes were bright, teasing, and I could feel my pulse spiking in response. "You're not boring, that's all. Most grown-ups just talk at me. But you actually notice things." Her words hit me harder than I expected. Notice things. She noticed me, and somehow she had a way of making the forbidden feel electric, alive. We stayed like that for a while, silent except for the occasional murmur of the TV in the background. But every little movement she made, the tilt of her head, the soft brush of her hair against my arm, felt deliberate. I wanted to warn myself to step back, but I couldn't. My body betrayed me, responding to her closeness in ways I hated and loved all at once. At one point, she shifted, pressing a little closer. I could feel the warmth of her body radiating into mine. My hand rested lightly on the carpet, but I caught her glance, saw her noticing every flicker of hesitation. "You're fidgety," she whispered, her voice low, playful, teasing. "I'm just a little tired," I lied, though my chest was tight with tension. She hummed softly, leaning even closer. Sure. Tired." She let her fingers brush mine lightly, almost accidentally, though the spark that shot through me said otherwise. My breath hitched, and I felt my heart racing as I tried not to react too obviously. Then she smirked, that little mischievous smirk that made my knees weak. "You're funny, Jenna. You're supposed to be the responsible one, right? But here you are, sitting on the floor with me like you want this as much as I do." I swallowed hard. She was baiting me, testing me, and I was failing spectacularly. I could feel the heat in my cheeks, the flutter in my stomach, the dangerous thrill of wanting something I shouldn't. "Okay," I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. Maybe I am a little distracted." Her eyes lit up with victory and she leaned even closer, her hair brushing my shoulder. "Distracted, huh? Good. I like it when you're distracted. Makes it more fun." I felt her hand brush against mine again, deliberately lingering this time. My pulse spiked, and I could barely think. Every fiber of my being wanted to lean in, wanted to let myself feel what I was feeling, and yet, the rules, the forbidden nature of it, kept me on edge. "Hey," she said suddenly, her tone softening. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like if things were different?" I froze. The question was loaded, dangerous, and I could feel the tension tighten between us. I wanted to answer, to confess, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I swallowed and let her gaze hold me, letting the silence speak volumes. Mia tilted her head, her lips almost brushing my ear. "You don't have to say anything. Just feel it," and I did. I felt it. The forbidden tension crackling between us, electric and consuming. My body leaned slightly toward hers, almost instinctively, and I realized how much I wanted her even as I tried to tell myself I shouldn't. She giggled softly, sensing my inner conflict. "Relax, Jenna. I'm not going anywhere. Not tonight." She leaned slightly closer again, and our faces were almost touching now. My pulse raced, my breath caught, and I felt the intoxicating pull of everything I was trying to resist. Her eyes held mine, daring me to give in, and in that charged electric moment, I understood. Whatever happened tonight, nothing would ever feel the same again. I never thought babysitting could be like this, so tantalizing, so dangerously close, and yet I knew with a shiver that the night was far from over. The apartment felt smaller somehow, charged with an electricity neither of us could deny. The earlier tension had escalated all evening. Each brush of her hand, every accidental closeness had become a deliberate game. And now, as Mia leaned against the couch with that mischievous grin, I realized the moment I had been dreading and craving was finally here. "I think you've been enjoying yourself tonight more than you'd like to admit," she whispered, her voice low, teasing. Her fingers traced the edge of the blanket draped across her lap, barely touching my hand as I sat beside her. I swallowed, my pulse racing. Maybe I have," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. The words felt dangerous, liberating, and intoxicating all at once. I could see the satisfaction in her eyes, the same satisfaction that had been slowly building in both of us for hours. She leaned closer, her shoulder pressing lightly against mine. "Good," she murmured. Then, almost imperceptibly, her fingers slid along my arm, tracing the line from my wrist to my elbow. The touch was gentle, deliberate, and electric. I shivered, my breath hitching. I tried to stay composed, tried to remind myself that this was forbidden, that I should step back, but the warmth of her hand, the softness of her hair brushing against my cheek, made it impossible to resist. My body betrayed me, leaning closer to hers as my heart pounded against my ribs. Mia tilted her head, her lips brushing my ear. "Relax. Just let it happen," she whispered. Her words were both a command and a promise, and I couldn't help but obey. Her hands moved with a confidence that both startled and enthralled me. One slid gently along my back, pulling me slightly closer, while the other traced the curve of my shoulder. I gasped softly at the sensation, feeling every nerve come alive. Her touch was electric, teasing, and impossibly intimate. "I've wanted this for a while," she admitted, her lips brushing my jaw. My chest tightened at her words. "You're irresistible." I felt heat rise to my cheeks, but more than that, a deep longing I had been denying myself all evening. Slowly, almost tentatively, I leaned into her, closing the tiny distance between our lips. Our kiss was soft at first, exploratory, tasting the thrill of forbidden desire, but as the minutes stretched, it deepened, our lips pressing together with urgency, curiosity, and a desperate need for closeness. Her hands moved to my waist, fingers curling against my sides as if anchoring me in place. I responded instinctively, sliding my hands into her hair, feeling the silky strands slip through my fingers as our bodies pressed closer. Every movement was a mix of caution and hunger, an intoxicating dance neither of us wanted to end. Time seemed to blur as our exploration continued. Her lips traveled from mine to my neck, leaving soft, teasing kisses that made my back arch instinctively. My hands roamed cautiously yet eagerly, discovering the curves of her body beneath the soft fabric of her shirt. Every touch, every sigh was electric, a private world where only we existed. We paused, catching our breath, foreheads resting together. Her eyes were bright, filled with mischief and something softer, something that mirrored the storm of emotions in me. "You're incredible," I whispered, my voice trembling. I didn't know it could feel like this." She smiled, pressing a soft kiss to my lips. "I knew," she said simply. "I could feel you feeling it too. You just needed permission to let go, and so we did. Slowly, carefully, we explored the boundaries of our desire, hands and lips discovering the thrill of mutual consent. Each touch was tender but charged, playful but intimate, a mix of excitement and affection that neither of us could ignore. We moved together as though we had been rehearsing this connection for months, our bodies communicating in ways words never could. By the time we finally pulled away, breathless and flushed, I realized how deep this night had gone, how much we had given to each other in a few hours. It was intoxicating, overwhelming, and undeniably real. Mia rested her head against my chest and I held her, savoring the closeness, the warmth, and the undeniable connection between us. For a moment, the apartment was silent, except for our breathing, a perfect pause after a storm of emotion and intimacy. "I never thought babysitting could be like this," I murmured, my voice soft, filled with wonder and disbelief. She lifted her head, eyes twinkling with mischief and affection. Neither did I, but I think we're just getting started. And as I held her close, I knew she was right. This night wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of something thrilling, forbidden, and unforgettable, the kind of beginning that would change everything. Morning light spilled through the curtains, soft and golden, painting the apartment in a warm glow. I woke slowly, a strange mix of disorientation and contentment washing over me. The events of the night before rushed back in vivid flashes, our closeness, the teasing, the daring kisses, the intimate touches that had left my heart pounding and my body alive in ways I had never imagined. I blinked, trying to gather my thoughts, and that's when I felt her. Mia was curled against my side, her head resting on my chest, one arm draped across me as if she had claimed her territory while I slept. My heart thudded painfully, but in the best possible way. I didn't want to move. The warmth of her body, the soft rhythm of her breathing, even the scent of her hair, it was intoxicating. Carefully, so as not to wake her, I wrapped my arm around her, pulling her slightly closer. She murmured something in her sleep, a soft, contented sound, and I couldn't help but smile. She was so mischievous, so daring, yet so vulnerable when asleep, and the contrast made my heart ache with affection. Eventually, she stirred, blinking up at me with a slow, lazy smile. "Morning," she whispered, her voice still soft, sleepy, but carrying that spark of playfulness that made my chest tighten. "Morning," I replied, my voice husky, betraying the remnants of desire and the lingering warmth of last night. "Sleep well?" She murmured, stretching slightly and letting her fingers brush against mine. "You?" I nodded, though words felt unnecessary. The night had said everything. The intimacy, the trust, the excitement. We had explored a forbidden world together, but somehow we had emerged closer and more connected than ever. She shifted, sitting up slowly, letting me adjust so she could face me. Her hair fell across her shoulders in soft waves, catching the morning light, and I realized just how stunning she was. Her eyes sparkled as she studied me, that teasing glint returning. "You're still here?" she said softly, though it wasn't a question. I chuckled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I'm not going anywhere," I said, "not after last night." Her smile widened, a mixture of mischief and affection. "Good, because last night I liked it. More than I expected." I felt my chest tighten, remembering the intensity of our closeness. "Me too. I didn't think it could feel like that. With you." She leaned closer, pressing her forehead to mine, eyes half closed in that sleepy intimacy. "You don't have to be embarrassed about it. I liked it, all of it. And I think I want more." My heart leapt. More? The thought of continuing what had started the night before, but now without the same forbidden tension, was thrilling. I could feel my desire rising again, tempered now by affection and trust rather than the fear of crossing a line. We moved slowly, deliberately, exploring each other with tender touches rather than the desperate urgency of last night. Her hands traced the curve of my arms, my back lingering in places that made my body shiver. I responded in kind, letting my fingers brush along her sides, her shoulders, memorizing the warmth and softness of her body. Every touch, every sigh, was filled with affection, desire, and the excitement of intimacy that was no longer entirely forbidden. It was ours. At one point, she leaned back slightly, her hand resting on mine. "I like this," she whispered, her voice soft, filled with wonder. "I like being close to you." I smiled, brushing my thumb over hers. "Me too. It feels right, even if it started as something forbidden." We shared another kiss, this one slower, gentler, less urgent, more tender. It was a kiss that spoke of trust, of shared secrets, of emotions that went beyond lust. And as our lips met, I realized that last night had been the spark, but today was the fire we had built together, warm, consuming, and comforting all at once. Breakfast was a quiet affair, laughing softly as we made simple toast and coffee, our hands brushed repeatedly across the counter, the touches lingering longer than necessary. She leaned against me at one point, whispering a playful comment about my clumsiness with the toaster, and I found myself laughing, the sound light and unburdened. "You know," she said later, curling against me on the couch with her blanket draped over both of us, "I think this might be the best babysitting gig I've ever had." I laughed, shaking my head. Yeah, I don't think any babysitting job has ever gone quite like this before. Her head tilted up, eyes sparkling, teasing and affectionate all at once. So, does that mean you'll babysit me again? I grinned, brushing my fingers through her hair. I think I might, but only if you promise to be just as mischievous. Deal, she whispered, pressing a soft kiss to my lips. Just don't complain when I steal the blanket next time. I chuckled, holding her close. I wouldn't have it any other way. The day stretched on, filled with quiet laughter, teasing touches, and the soft intimacy of a bond that had started forbidden but was now undeniably real. We didn't rush, didn't force anything. We simply existed in each other's company, exploring the thrill of closeness, of desire, of something tender and dangerous all at once. As the afternoon sun spilled into the apartment, I realized just how much this night, and the morning that followed, had changed us. What had started as playful, teasing tension had grown into something meaningful, something neither of us wanted to let go. She looked up at me suddenly, eyes soft and bright. I never thought babysitting could be like this, she said, echoing my own thoughts. But I don't want it to end. Neither do I murmured, holding her gently. Us. It's just the beginning. Her smile widened, her fingers tracing patterns along my arm. Good, because I think we're going to have a lot more adventures together, and I knew she was right. The night had been a spark, the morning a revelation, and now, we had a future filled with laughter, closeness, and intimacy that went beyond the forbidden. The thrill was still there, but now it was mixed with affection, trust, and the warmth of knowing that this connection wasn't fleeting. As we settled together on the couch, wrapped in the shared blanket and the quiet comfort of each other's presence, I realized that this night, this morning, and every moment in between had been perfect. We had taken something forbidden, something thrilling, and turned it into a bond that was real, passionate, and undeniably ours. I never imagined babysitting could change my life, but Mia had, and in the most unexpected, unforgettable way. And as she pressed her head to my shoulder once more, I knew that whatever adventures awaited us next, we would face them together, laughing, teasing, and loving. No boundaries, no hesitation, just us. I crossed a line I swore I'd never touch. Every glance, every touch, it's burned into me. I can't undo what happened, yet I can't stop thinking about it. What are we now? Friends? More? Or something I'm not ready to name? I need to know. How would you handle something this forbidden?